So Flashpoint Batman Night of Vengeance is the most tragic Batman story I think I have ever read. It is known that Bruce Wayne is the Batman who protected Gotham for years. He is the Dark Knight that watches over Gotham City from shadows. And the reason he do all that is because his parents were killed in Crime Alley in front of him. So what if he was the one to die that night instead of his parents? We begin the story with Thomas Wayne, Bruce Wayne's father, sitting across from a psychiatrist, trying to prove to her that he's insurable. She certifies him after telling him he's argumentative. As he leaves, Oswald Cobblepot, Wayne's right-hand man, also known as the Penguin, asks if the Gambling Commission is going to renew his license. Thomas confirms that they are by mumbling. Cobblepot goes over last night's take and the security footage. When Wayne sees that Maroni's kids were in again, he tells Cobblepot not to cut them off just yet. He reminds Cobblepot the reason for opening the casinos was to bring crime to him, and to fund the control of it. Jim Gordon arrives, stealing Wayne away in a black stretch limousine. They're off to Harvey's house, because his twins have been kidnapped by the Joker. Gordon and Wayne talk about the uselessness of Arkham, and it bleeds into the conversation with Harvey Dent, now Judge Dent. While they try to tell him Joker belongs in Arkham because he's insane, Dent responds by telling him hush, Scarecrow and Ivy were insane, but now they're dead. Jim responds quickly that Gotham security had nothing to do with that. Harvey points out that it was Batman. It's quickly explained that Gordon sold the city on privatizing the police force as a more effective way of deterring crime. Wayne points out that Chief Gordon and Gotham security have done that. Gilda Dent turns to them finally and reminds them her babies are in the hands of a child killer. Wayne promises to bring them back alive, gives his word. Dent gives his word that if he doesn't, he'll personally shut down Gotham security, Wayne's hotels, and Wayne casinos. On a rooftop, overlooking Gotham, Gordon and Wayne exchange words about what a bad place the world is. They begin to head down the building, into an underground bunker. As Gordon explains, they don't have anything concrete on the Joker, but they have heard of some soup kitchen regulars going missing and claiming the devil grabbed them and took them to hell. Wayne suits up and departs as Batman to do his own investigation in the sewers beneath Gotham. His first find is a piece of human bone, and he follows a voice saying, "Hell." He follows the voice through the murky water, unaware or simply not acknowledging he's being watched by a reptilian creature from the water. He arrives at a barricaded door and opens it to find what we assume are the missing people, who are in turn missing various body parts. The reptile creature appears behind Batman and attacks him with a machete. Batman defends himself with the bar that was blocking the door. As the reptile gains the advantage and starts to drown Batman, he flashes back to that pivotal scene in his life, with a string of pearls falling to the ground and 2 shots ringing through the night. As he attempted to take the mugger down, Batman fights his way back up and digs his thumb into the eye socket of the creature. Gaining the final advantage necessary to dig the machete into the reptile's skull, taking him down once and for all. He kneels next to the fallen villain as see another narrator take over. The new narrator tells an unseen audience the world is a bad place, and that is why they play games at Wayne Casino with Oswald Cobblepot on the phone to Jim Gordon. Jim is talking to Oswald about Thomas, and how he's worried he is letting him down after Thomas had asked,
"If you could change the world, would you do it?"
But Jim takes it to mean that he isn't doing enough in the fight against crime. Oswald reassures him. He is of course Thomas's best friend, but to prove himself, Jim goes to visit Oracle without informing Thomas. Oracle has a potential lead on the Joker. A pizza delivery boy was washed up on shore whose cause of death matched the Joker's MO. Jim goes to investigate the delivery car for clues, but whilst at the scene he receives a call from Thomas Wayne. Thomas questions Jim on the information he received from Oracle, but he lies to make it sound unimportant. He also says he's at the morgue examining the body when in actual fact he is standing outside Wayne Manor. Not one to sit back and let other people do the work, Thomas says he'll meet Jim at the morgue where he believes he is. After vain attempts to deter him, Jim gives in and lets Thomas travel to the wrong destination. We cut to inside the mansion where the Joker is standing over the children of Judge Dent, intimidating them whilst he gags them with tape. We then cut to a seedy bar where Batman is interrogating and assaulting a washed-up Harvey Bullock. In retaliation, the barmaid, Renee Montoya, swings a bat, as in a baseball bat, no pun intended, at Batman, who simply catches it, but Renee takes him down to the cellar where they have an employee tied up. The Joker was in the pub several days ago, giving out pizza. Of course, most people knew better, but one employee, a new guy, had a slice. This led to him laughing maniacally under similar effects to modern Joker toxin. Apparently there is no cure for this in the Flashpoint universe as, when questioned what they can do for him, Batman replies,
"There's nothing anybody can do, other than blame me,"
before promptly breaking the man's neck. In the Batmobile, Batman is discussing the case with Oracle, who relieves the information that Jim received all of the intel hours ago. At this, Batman is worried at what Jim might do, and when he tries to phone him, he realizes that his phone is switched off. We then cut back to Jim, creeping through a seemingly abandoned Wayne Manor. Peering through a gap where a door was left ajar, he spies the Joker standing over one of the Dent children with two guns aimed at his cowering head. Bursting through the door, Jim fires. His aim is good as his bullet hits the young girl dressed up as the Joker square in the chest. Realizing what he has done, Jim loses all precaution as he rushes over to the young girl, praying that he hasn't done too much damage, but as he tends to her lifeless body, a shining blade creeps round his neck. The young boy is showered with blood as the Joker slits Gordon's throat. Back in the Batmobile, Oracle patches Batman into the security network where he is being shown a mobile phone video of the horrific scene accompanied by the maniacal laughter of the Joker. Bursting through the doors of Wayne Manor, Batman screams,
"What have you done this time, Martha?"
as we see our first full-body shot of the Joker, now revealed to be Martha Wayne, Thomas's wife. Batman then storms into the house, desperate to stop Martha. He sees the scene set before him, with one child cradling the other, either really looking at Gordon as he lays dead on the floor. Batman growls and the supposedly dead child echoes the noise. When Batman realizes she's alive, he's instantly trying to help her. He cauterizes the wound and rips the tape off her mouth. He tries to comfort her, letting her know that it'll hurt, but the hurt means she's alive. She whispers that she's cold, and the scene becomes all too familiar for Batman. All of a sudden, it's no longer one of the Dent's children he's leaning over, it's Bruce in Crime Alley. He tells Martha to run for help, as she's curled up in shock. He tries to tell Bruce it's okay, but Bruce stops responding. He administers CPR to no avail. When Martha returns with a police officer, it's too late. Bruce lays dead and Thomas has blood smeared across his cheek from the attempt to resuscitate him. The no from Martha carries him back to the current situation. She comes at him with a hammer, asking how he dares to do this. He goes back into his memories, seeing how Martha turned into herself after the murder in Crime Alley. Therapy isn't helping because Martha refuses to accept Bruce being gone. He tells her they both miss him, and he's on the verge of suggesting something when he thinks of another memory. As Martha continues to try to beat him with the hammer, he recalls paying someone to find out whom the mugger was, to find out where he is. Thomas pulls out a syringe, desperate to make Joe Chill pay. When he spots him, he drops the syringe and beats him to death with his bare hands. Returning home to deliver the news to Martha, she simply tells him she understands before turning around to reveal the bloody gashes in her cheeks. She's hauled off and he returns to his present state of mind in time to stop Martha from injuring him further. They crash through a window and land on the lawn. She asks if he knows what a failure he is. Batman agrees and says he knows the blood on his hands doesn't change a thing. Martha says it's changed him. As they runs through the grounds, rain spatters them both. She taunts him about old times and he catches her, asking if she really wants to go there. Batman tells her about a world that could be, where the two shots weren't absorbed by Bruce, but by them. When Thomas says he has the opportunity to make that reality real, he asks her if he should. Martha makes Thomas promise he will. In a tender moment, Martha asks about Bruce, what he does after they're dead. Thomas admits Bruce follows in his footsteps. Martha first believes that means Bruce becomes a doctor, and then she realizes the truth. The revelation of Bruce's career tips her over the edge, causing her to flee and run around the grounds laughing. She doesn't know the grounds as well as Thomas does and falls down the abandoned well, releasing the bats, never finishing her sentence about what exactly the world is. The series ends with Thomas looking down on Martha, broken by the fall. When I read the first issue, I wasn't sure I was going to like this series. I thought Thomas Wayne was an inarticulate character, and there wasn't enough to keep me hooked. That changed at the start of the second issue. This issue just drove it home. I loved the interweaving of past and present, showing the descent of Martha into madness. I loved the dialogue between Martha and Thomas at the end, the back and forth they seem to have, and then Martha losing it when she realizes what happens to Bruce regardless. I think the art is one thing that really helps this story along. I don't know how heavily scripted the panels were or if Brian Azzarello just let Eduardo Risso do his own thing, but I think the art was absolutely perfect for the story. One thing I noticed, particularly with the coloring in the memories, was the use of red tones. The times red washes or red splashes were used corresponded perfectly to what the story wanted you to feel. This whole series has built upon itself, allowing it to be a fairly self-sufficient story, and is still probably one of the best tie-ins I've read to Flashpoint.